I'd like to share another book with you. So before we read it, let's find out a little bit about it. Can you remember what we call that bit at the back of the book that tells us what it might be about? Yes, it's the blurb. So I'm going to read the blurb and we'll see if we can tell a little bit about what the story might be about. So, in the days long ago, giraffe was the noisiest animal on the great African plain. This is the story of how the littlest egret proved to laughing giraffe that you don't need to be loud to be heard. So have a little chat to your grown-up. What do you think our story might be about, and who do you think is going to be in our story? Well done if you said you think there's going to be a giraffe, because there's definitely a giraffe in the story. And this bird, do you know what this bird is called? It's called an egret, and there's an egret in our story as well. So our book is called The Laughing Giraffe. In the days long ago, when warthog was beautiful and hippo lived only on the land, giraffe was the noisiest animal on the great African plain. He shouted a lot and he laughed all the time. In the lucky bean tree where the little weaver birds rested, giraffe would pop his head up through the branches and take a mouthful of leaves and with laughter. The little weaver birds fell out of the tree with fright. In the wild date palms where the little sunbird snoozed, giraffe would pop his head through the leaves and take a mouthful of ripe fruit and with laughter. The little sunbirds were thrown out of their nests. How do you think they're feeling? They look a bit scared, don't they? Not very happy. In the tall reeds where the little kingfishers perched, what do you think giraffe's going to do? That's right, giraffe would pop his head through the branches and take a mouthful of water and with laughter. And the little kingfishers tumbled into the water. One day, when the little egrets were sitting on Toothbrush Bush enjoying the warm sun, Giraffe gave them such a fright that the littlest egret fell into a puddle. Ha 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 ha! Laughed Giraffe. How do you think he feels about being pushed into the puddle? Giraffe, the littlest egret scolded, "You are loud and noisy and mean. Anybody could be noisy all the time. Even I could be as noisy as you if I wanted to." "You? That's a laugh," shouted the giraffe. "Then we will have a competition to see who has the loudest voice," the littlest egret challenged him. "Agreed," laughed Giraffe. "Then let's go into the forest and we will shout back to the plain and see who has the loudest voice," said the littlest egret. "And I shall judge the competition," offered Kudu. So what do you think is going to happen? Have a chat to your grown-up. What do you think is going to happen next? They're having a competition to see who has the loudest voice. Well, let's see if you're right. The sun was just above Giraffe's left knee when they passed the lucky bean tree where the weavers rested. The sun was just above Giraffe's neck when they passed under the wild date palms where the sunbirds snoozed. And it was just behind Giraffe's head when they finally stopped by the tall reeds where the little kingfishers were fishing. Now, You must shout and tell the animals on the plain what you want for dinner, said Kudu. Easy, yelled Giraffe. I want leafy thorn tree tips for my dinner. And in a voice that could just be heard above the breeze, the littlest egret shouted, I want little brown beetles for my dinner. As they turned to head home, the little kingfishers flew high in the air, singing, Little brown beetles. As they passed the wild date palms, the little sunbirds flitted from flower to flower, singing, Little brown beetles. And as they passed the lucky bean tree, the little weavers were chattering, Little brown beetles. What do you think's happening there? Why are all the birds singing Little brown beetles? Why don't you pause the video for a moment, have a chat with your grown-up and think about why you think the birds might be singing Little brown beetles. And then when you're ready, press play again and we'll listen to the rest of the story. When they finally reached the plain, Kudu asked the giraffes, What have you got for giraffes' dinner tonight? Oh, today we have crunchy toothbrush bush tips, said the giraffes. But I wanted leafy thorn tree tips, shouted Giraffe crossly. Well, why didn't you say something, said the giraffes. Do you think the egrets are going to know what the littlest egret wants for dinner? And how did they know? Let's find out. Kudu then asked the egrets, What have you got for the littlest egret's dinner tonight? Little brown beetles, said the egrets. That's what she called for. And then the littlest egret has the loudest voice, said Kudu. I declare she is the winner. The next day, wherever Giraffe went, he heard all the animals on the great plain whispering, The littlest egret has the loudest voice. And he stayed very silent. And so today, Giraffe doesn't shout anymore, and he certainly doesn't ha 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 like he used to. He keeps quiet as quiet, but now and then Giraffe gives a little humph of a laugh, and the other animals don't mind a bit.